Welcome to Black Politics with Chris Owens on Air America Radio. We're here today with a very special guest, somebody who I always enjoy talking with but don't often have the opportunity to interview. So today's show is the part one episode of an interview with my dad, Congressman Major Owens, who served in the House of Representatives for 26 years, elected in 1982, retired in 2006, and had the good fortune of being around when Clinton was president and saw a transition when Bush was president as well. He got to be a subcommittee chair on the Education Committee and went through the transition when the Republicans took over the House in 1995. So I'm not going to go through all the details of your history, Dad. What I'd like to go is straight to the history of the day, because here we are at a time that I don't know if you ever envisioned would happen. What is your reaction to the nomination of Barack Obama to be the Democratic nomination of Barack Obama to be president of the United States?
Well, this is an unparalleled moment in history, which I never thought I would see in my lifetime, and I'm sure many others. It's a moment in history which analysts and commentators and historians will have a long time sought out just how momentous it is. Not just that the first African-American has been nominated for president, but the quality of the candidate and the circumstances under which he was nominated, the creation of a movement. There is a movement in process, which, most of us still don't quite understand. Whether it's from the bottom or the top, what makes it work, it's just, it's a miracle. If you know politics, the whole campaign was a miracle, sort of. I lived in the Washington atmosphere for 24 years on the phone raising money, and I know the power of the donocracy, the people who have the money and how they control things. And Obama's election is significant because he is unbought and unbossed. That doesn't mean he doesn't have powerful people behind him and around him, but none of them are so powerful that they can really tell him what to do. He has a base out there, a base that, is not just a base based on enthusiasm and people responding to the moral clarion of his call, but also they respond with dollars.
Yeah.
Small amounts, but from so many people. That's a new development in politics, and the challenge is to keep the movement going. Well, the momentum of the movement must be kept going.
But this is something you've talked about for a long time. I mean, you always had a dream that if people got together and gave their $10 and their $5 in large numbers, that basically any elected official would be freed up from a lot of the constraints that they have to deal with through campaign finance. And it seems like not only is the Obama campaign the culmination of modern technology and what Howard Dean started to put in place in 2004, but it's the culmination of 40 years of work that happened since Dr. King's assassination. So you have this intersection of these two powerful forces, and frankly, a highly unusual black candidate. I mean, this isn't Jesse Jackson, this isn't Al Sharpton, this isn't Carol Moseley Braun that we're talking about. This is somebody who essentially came out of nowhere, as far as many people are concerned, and walked into a situation where his personal charisma and this machine was able to help create a movement. I mean, that's quite incredible, even to me, and I'm a little bit younger.
Yeah, well, don't put down Jesse Jackson. He was a magnificent candidate, and part of the trailblazing of 1984 and 1988 has made this possible. But you grew up hearing me say that if I could just get $1 from each constituent, when you have 600,000 constituents, that pays for the campaign, because we always ran low-budget campaigns. Anyhow, the power of the money and the power of the donocracy has been broken, and of course that's temporarily. They are seeking a way to get revenge and to get reestablished. So he's going to be up against that. And Washington has many pitfalls, and they won't go away. The farm bill that just passed recently shows that things are happening in the legislature that don't make any sense at all. A Democratic Congress just passed, a Democratic controlled Congress just passed an outrageous farm bill, giving billions of dollars to rich farmers and taking no steps to take care of the confusion in the food markets across the world, and a number of evils in that bill, and yet it was passed overwhelmingly. Bush got a moment in the sun by being able to say, I I won't sign it. He vetoed it, but they override the veto. So there's some strange things happening that Obama will have to contend with, and that's why he has to keep the movement going. I think it's very important that the people who are out there who are participating for the first time, they hear his call for change, and they believe in the call for change. We have to make some things change. The money that's going to rich farmers, some of that ought to be going into public housing, which is about to go broke here in New York State, New York City, which has always had great public housing. It's ridiculous the kind of federal money that's been pulled out of housing, and on it goes. He has an agenda which ought to very much include right away doing something for the poorest people, the most vulnerable people, and for young people.
Well, let's rewind for a second. And I want to know, what did you think was the key moment when, in your mind, the potential existed for Barack Obama to win the nomination? You endorsed him. You endorsed him before Iowa. I had something to do with that. But the bottom line is, you endorsed him. You took that chance. You're a New York former congressman. You could have said, no, I'm going to stick with Hillary Clinton. You took that chance and endorsed him. But what was the moment when you actually believed he could win the nomination?
I actually believed he could win the nomination when he came out of Iowa, which was always one miracle. Iowa, which has very few blacks, overwhelmingly went for Obama. And he almost beat Hillary Clinton in New Hampshire. But then when they start talking about he has the money to go all the way, when the Clinton campaign started complaining about being outspent as a politician, I said, this is a whole new factor. Not only do you have the voice of Martin Luther King and, the body of a rock star, movie star, but you have and brain, tremendous brain. You have somebody who's financially able to go all the way. There's something happening out there in terms of raising money. They can't stop him. The democracy, the establishment cannot stop him. I saw then the possibility, and I saw something else which should be noted: a magnificently organized campaign, and exhibition of good administration, excellent administration. The nation would be fortunate to have that kind of administration in the White House. It takes a lot to administer a campaign, and he had put that together. The buck stopped with Obama. You might say he had good folks from the old Kennedy campaign, and he had this and he had that, but he put it all together, and
right.
makes it work, and the element of inspiration, idealism and inspiration, which was totally lost on the Clinton administration. The reason Hillary Clinton, I think, really went under is that a lot of her followers were disappointed that she had not been inspiring in the years that she spent in the Senate. And not only had she not been inspiring, she had disappointed so many of us by supporting the war in Iraq and never apologizing for it, never really coming back to say that I'm sorry I did it.
Okay, we're going to come back. We're going to come back to that theme when we come back in the next segment, because I do want to talk more about Senator Clinton's actual role in the campaign and the whole issue of what happens with Vice President. Stay tuned. We'll be back on Air America Radio with Black Politics with Chris Owens. We'll be right back.